Well, good morning, Sun worshipers. Actually, it's getting ready to rain. We need plenty of it. It's just starting to sprinkle outside here in LJ, Georgia, and the weather map looks like it's going to be a long day, a long wet day. We definitely need the wet day. I need to go back out and start burning my fire pit again so I can enjoy my evenings in front of my fire with a good glass of single malt Scotch whiskey and maybe a cigar from time to time. But somebody put a kibosh on that. All outdoor fires are prohibited, but my fire pit is enclosed in concrete and masonry, and I understand that if this rain comes, they might lift that. I'm not burning trash outside, just my fire, my little enjoyment. It's cheaper than going to a psychiatrist where you can sit and think. Anyway, this is the last day of November. This is November the 30th. We have weather. We do also have the tornado alert. I should remind you that there is a tornado alert. Who's really suffered from all these fires, of course, is the state of Tennessee, particularly Sevier County. There's 14,000 people have been forced to evacuate from the resort. Many people are missing, and we're surrounding the towns of Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. I long considered Gatlinburg to be a carbuncle on an ugly wart on the beautiful Smoky Mountain landscape. It sits at the border, the north border of the Smoky Mountains, and it is the most crass tourist trap I've seen since Atlantic City, the boardwalk in Atlantic City back in the 60s. I just do not like that type of commercialism, but it is free enterprise, it is capitalism at its best, and it is the poor man's mecca, the place to go and spend money and have a good time with your kids. I understand all that. I don't go there. I don't even pass through there if I don't have to. There's always other ways around. But anyway, that doesn't stop me from feeling sorry and respectful for the loss that they are suffering, the hotels, the businesses, the homes that have just been burned completely away. Now I have to say too, this is not a new experience for me. Back in the 1950s, 1956, I had my first major job as a seasonal firefighter with the California Division of Forestry. And forest fires like we are seeing here, we saw every year there. I'm used to it. I'm used to houses, seeing cabins burned where people do not take the effort to clean the gutters or move the brush away from their house for at least 10 or 15 yards or blow leaves away, something I do now right here in Atlanta or in LJ. Fire moves very fast, and we have a thick mantle of dry weeds, leaves, underbrush that will burn. It'll burn very fast. So you got to be, at least you got to be aware that if your house is on the top of a slope and the fire's at the bottom of the slope, that fire moves very, 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 very fast. And with the winds that we've had, it blows even faster. So I'll just tell you to be aware of that. At least 4 people suffered severe burns trying to evacuate. They're hospitalized. An early report said there are no deaths, but I've heard that there are 4. I cannot confirm that, but I'm not surprised. There'll probably be more. There are 3 people I know that are missing. I heard a man looking for his wife and his 2 daughters who got separated, so we'll see there. The Westgate Resort, a 16-story hotel, and every cabin at Black Bear Falls have been destroyed. Schools in Greene, McMinn, and Sevier counties are closed, naturally, and more than 12,000 people in Sevier County were without power as early as Tuesday morning. Dollywood is there. Dollywood is evacuated, and tourists fled the area as wildfires ripped through eastern Tennessee. The roads are clogged. You cannot even think about going into that area. They're trying to get people out. I think that by now they probably have succeeded in moving people away. Dolly Parton said she was praying for the families affected by the fire and the firefighters who are working so hard to keep everyone safe. And there is, you can see on some television internet sites, videos from the Gatlinburg Park, the Vista Hilton Hotel, which shows flames leaping up outside the windows. I don't know if that hotel has been saved, but so there we are. We are in the, we are heavy rain falling up there right now. I think we will have put an end to that fire, but if weather patterns fall true, these fires will be followed by several bouts of heavy rain, and now we'll have flooding, severe flooding. The ground, stripped of its overburden, will flow off into the creeks, and then for a while we'll have muddy creeks and rocks and boulders, and we'll have people trying to cross roads in their automobiles. Bad, bad, bad idea. When you realize an automobile, no matter how heavy, or a truck, no matter how big, it only has little points. A car, let's take your car. You have four little points of contact with the ground. That's it, 4 points of contact. That's where the tires meet the road. They're like 4 or 5 inches, square inches. That's it, times 4, and water will just move your car away like it's a sail on a boat. So do not cross roads that are flooded with water and you can see the water flooding. If you have your family in your car, forget it. If you want to remove yourself from the gene pool, take your family out of the car, do it yourself, but just be careful. There's some terrible things going to happen because of the rain and the flooding that's coming. I just got to tell you that. It could happen here in our county. The fires in this county, Ellijay, were up in the Cohota Wilderness. There are no houses up in the Cohota Wilderness unless it's the remnant of a pioneer cabin saved because of its historic significance. It could be gone. Those could be gone. I think there's 2 up there, as I recall. But it's going to be an ugly place for a year or 2. The green will come back, however, and fires are essential to good forest management. We all recognize it, but dang, for a long time, it's really horrible to watch and contemplate. Now, that brings me around to another article I think is interesting. Is the left is going to freak when they hear the latest news on global warming, and many of us have recognized the global warming case that the Greens want to put on us as a trick to scare us into giving up more money to other people for their. It's difficult to explain, I think, in a few words. I hadn't prepared for it until I saw this article. But every year we hear the Greens talking about the Arctic is melting. And they show us photographs of a polar bear on a slab of ice floating in the water, a little slab of ice. Well, what they have been doing for a long time is going up there with their icebreaker, breaking up ice in certain places, and photographing it, and then showing us on television and their sites how horrible it is that global warming is melting the ice, and here's this poor polar bear out there floating around. He's lost. He can do nothing. Well, the fact is, they break up the ice with their ship. Do you remember last year their ship actually got iced in? They had to be rescued. They had to be rescued, and that put an end to that. And besides, one polar bear on a slice of ice, he's there because he wants to be. He's not there because he's floating off into oblivion. And you look around behind you, right where the camera was standing, taking a picture of that polar bear, is probably 1,600 to 2,000 other polar bears. There's a little town in Canada called Fort Campbell that has a polar bear problem. They're everywhere. People do not go out at night because the polar bears have taken over the streets. So, and polar bears are all the way through Russia, Alaska, Canada, the north of the Norwegian state, Norway and Sweden. I mean, that's all. The polar bears are everywhere. It's like eagles, American bald eagle. The bald eagle is a protected species. And if you even have a feather, you can be arrested and sent to jail. And fined, of course. But if you go to Alaska, the bald eagles up there are as thick as sparrows, all running around on the beach, looking for something to eat, fighting one another, snatching food, dead fish floating up. They don't stay there long. They're everywhere. Absolutely, bald eagles are everywhere. It's not an endangered species. I know that myself. I saw it myself. I got dozens of photographs of eagles just sitting around like damn pigeons. So, hey, we allow ourselves to be scared. But anyway, the green people on this frozen ice business, they break up the ice, take pictures, and then they come to us and they go crazy, screaming that the ice is melting, the ice is melting. Oh, my beautiful wickedness. Oh, that was in The Wizard of Oz, wasn't it? Last winter, a team of scientists on a research ship got stuck in the ice and had to be rescued. The year before that, they had some whales that got stuck in the ice because it was too much, and they had to send in the icebreaker to free them and open the channel so they could get back out into the water with the whales. Jesus. So anyway, we are filled with alarmists. Let's see what else we got here. Then let's talk about, go back to our politics. Politics is in the air right now. Brian, I hate to, don't make a point of trying to cover what Brian Pritchard has said already, BKP, about politics, but I'm a little alarmed that he wants Mitt Romney, Donald Trump, wants Mitt Romney, or is still communicating with Mitt Romney. But we do have some good picks here that I think are important to realize. To go through his picks, of course, Senator Jeff Sessions for Attorney General, very, very, very important point. I'm sure that Chucky Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, will absolutely challenge Jeff Sessions because they know what he's going to do. He's going to absolutely dismantle a lot of those programs. He's going to go after Hillary. He's going to go after the Clinton Foundation. Bet on it. Bet on it. That's in the works. The Secretary of Health and Human Services is our Georgia's own Tom Price. Dr. Tom Price couldn't be. They're going to challenge him too because he's going to go after Obamacare. And Dr. Price, for years as a member of the Congress, has had a plan put in place on paper that will replace Obamacare, and it will work. And it is in the hands of Paul Ryan, who has had similar ideas on paper. These things will work. Obamacare is a scheme designed to capture our money by making everyone responsible to the government for their health care, the single payer. That's not the American way. That's on the way out. So look for a big fight there. Elaine Chao, she was Secretary of Labor under George W. Bush. She is Mitch McConnell's wife. She's probably very capable, but that throws up a red flag to me. She's been selected for Secretary of Transportation. Transportation is an important thing. First, America has come to rely on its interstate system, and a lot of these are in desperate need of being rehabilitated, roadway services, and even bridges. Some bridges. Remember a couple of years ago, a bridge collapsed on an interstate in St. Paul, and dumped a bunch of people in the river. That's the kind of thing that has to be avoided. So as a start, they have to go out, send engineering inspectors out and check bridges. Now, whether it's the federal government does that or the individual state, it still has to be provided for. We're so far in debt, another $1 trillion, I guess. I hate to say it, it would hurt. It would put us further in debt, but it needs to be done. Also that needs to be done, We need to look at high-speed rail. High-speed rail. There has been a proposed high-speed rail between Atlanta and Chattanooga. I'm for that. I'm absolutely for that. But it won't affect me because I don't live anywhere within. Chattanooga is 100 miles from me. I can be there in 2 hours and do so often in my automobile. And I do so on back roads that are not clogged and crowded until I get to I-75, which is often crowded, but it moves in a straight line very fast. I have no complaint with that, but I do like high-speed rail travel. Having lived and worked in Europe for years, in the Far East for years, I understand how trains really work and how they move a lot of people in a short distance in a fast amount of time. Very important. And I'm just telling you from my personal experience. We have a train track that runs right here through Ellijay. Now, it's privately owned, but I think the state owns the right of way. And it used to be the L&N, and now it is the North Georgia Northeast Railway, private company. Between Blue Ridge and Tate, the tracks are there. They have been, the railroad crossings have been restored a couple of years ago. For some reason, you don't spend money on a rail line that's dying. So I think that I suspect that there's some plan for this, at least to move cargo, freight, but it also has some physical flaws that have to be overcome. For example, once you get into Pickens County, that are areas the train runs over at 10 miles an hour, and that's the speed from here almost to Marietta, that is undermined by mines from years and years ago, mines being limestone. Now we have open pit, and from Tate south, the railroad hauls a lot of that limestone products to the world market from Tate. But between Tate and here, not much rail traffic, except if they're bringing cars back and forth, and they do it very slowly. I see that as a potential for a passenger rail service, and it doesn't have to be a streamlined train, but it should be a 2 or 3 or 4 car electric train or diesel electric train that will run that. And I'm being signaled that it's time for our commercial break, so we'll see you on the other side after these words from our sponsors. I can hear the rain on the roof now. How about you, Cole? Yep, I think we're going to have a rainy day. Take us out.
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did you?
It's not important, Jan. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. And later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian. Or listen to jazz. Or try my hand at needlework. Or open a door for a beautiful woman. Or read a human interest story or make dessert wine. Or ride a wild horse. Or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last. Especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpieces the Hut.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine.
El Rey.
El Rey and Ellijay.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
When Days Chevrolet in Jasper gives thanks, we give big. With over 20% off MSRP on remaining 2016 models and savings up to $10,000. New Silverado Crew Cabs from just $31,900. Or get 20% off MSRP plus days discounts on 2016 Malibus. Now just $18,900. Save up to $10,000 off MSRP today at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow, and then I can finally get back home. Round, round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza, proof that no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Well, welcome back, my friends. This is George McClellan at FYN TV, the third hour of FYN TV's daily online live internet talk show. I can be reached at 706-889-9700. If you want to join the conversation or interpose anything. I mentioned Elaine Chao was appointed the Secretary of Transportation. She's the wife of Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader. I see problems there, but we'll see how. That's what Trump wants, and I'm going to trust Trump on this, but I'm going to trust him with verification when it comes about. That's Reagan, trust but verify. The ambassador to the United Nations is selected as Nikki Haley, a great choice, I think, there. As a fact, Nikki Haley could eventually become Secretary of State in some administration down the road. Philanthropist Betsy DeVos, she's a billionaire, but she made her money honestly with this. With her husband, they own the business that sells American products to women on television or house to house. But she's Secretary of the Education, and I think I'm looking forward to seeing what this woman comes up with. The Chief of Staff, of course, Reince Priebus, who is or will soon leave his job as the chairman of the Republican National Committee. National Security Advisor, Defense Intelligence Agency Director Michael Flynn, also Lieutenant General, U.S. Army, retired. He was an intelligence officer during his whole military career. The CIA Director is Mike Pompeo. Pompeo is a Republican representative. Secretary of the Treasury, Stephen Mnuchin. I have red flags on this one. He comes from Goldman Sachs. Why has Goldman Sachs provided all of the candidates for Treasury in the last several administrations? What hold does Goldman Sachs have over this process that they can insert their man into the process? I want you to be aware of that. Just keep your pens and take notes, because something's going to happen there. Secretary of Commerce, another financier, 78-year-old man. Hell, he's older than I am, for God's sakes. Wilbur Ross, a billionaire. Well, let's see what the man can do. There's some ties. All these people apparently have some ties to the Donald Trump company. But we've got millionaires talking to millionaires. And the one thing I can say about millionaires and billionaires is they know how to make money. They know how to get the job done. They know how to make work, return work to America. So I'm very optimistic on this. I'm very optimistic on it. We'll see what the Senate Democrat Senate members will say and do. That'll be interesting. And also, here's one: administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. Two areas of definite problems. They'll fall under the Obamacare reversal. That's a very important task role, and it's been given to Indiana health policy consultant Seema Verma. Seema Verma. I know nothing about this woman, so that we'll wait and see what that's out about. The article continues, we may quibble with a few here and there, but overall it's really a good group, particularly considering the perceived limited circle of connections and talent around Trump during the campaign. By and large, there's a pretty darn conservative cabinet, and one that's sufficiently experienced, professional, knowledgeable, and prepared for the massive task before them. We will recall that Obama's circle of advisors had no business experience at all. And look where America is today. It's in the crap hole, absolutely in the crap hole. Economically, trade, world trade, trade deals with other countries, and the Iran debacle. So we at least we have people here who are capable of making things happen. In fact, if any of the other 16 Republican presidential candidates had won, it's easy to picture some of these same names appearing in those Republican cabinets. What's more, there's still quite a bit of experienced managerial and legislative talent walking through the lobby of Trump Tower these days. Mitt Romney, David Petraeus, Rick Perry, retired General James Mattis, Representative Marsha Blackburn, and Oklahoma Governor Mary Phelan. So he's bringing women to the fore, so he's not a sexist. That argument is done with. General Mattis, he's a kick-ass warrior. He should either be, I should think he'd either be the Department of Defense or the VA. That nest has to be cleaned out. But we had a general officer run the VA one time a few years ago, and it was a disaster. But he was an Obama appointee, so he was appointed because he clung to Obama's ideas of what to do, how to run government. Nothing happened, in other words. David Petraeus will not be Secretary of State. And what's missing from this list is Rudy Giuliani. Petraeus will not be Secretary of State. He admitted that he mishandled classified information, was fined as a misdemeanor, and not sent to jail, but that's it. That's over with. But the very fact that he did it, will give Hillary Clinton an option to complain that Trump is showing favoritism. There's a place for General Petraeus, but it is not as Secretary of State. And Mitt Romney, I think absolutely believe that Mitt Romney, after the wonderful demonstration he made at bringing the Olympics back into solvency several years ago, the Winter Olympics in Utah, I think it was, he returned it to solvency with his abilities as a businessman, would make a great Secretary of State. But also, he hated Bush, he hated Trump, and he's part of that swamp that we need to drain. And I hold my judgment on that. I really hold my judgment on that. I know nothing about Marsha Blackburn. I do. I've met the woman. She came to GOP convention here in Georgia a few years ago and gave a speech, a very good speech, 9th District speech. But I know nothing either about Mary Phelan. So perhaps most surprising is that some of the figures most loyal and visible during the campaign haven't even been named to any cabinet position yet. I might add Newt Gingrich. Now Newt has gone all in on keeping Romney out. So has Kellyanne Conway. I cannot figure out yet or understand yet whether that's an orchestrated ploy. I think it might be an orchestrated ploy, but I don't know why. Because Kellyanne Conway uses words that somebody else used the same words on a television interview. So that sounds like they're reading from a script, and scripted things, and there's a motive behind scripted programs. Trump noted they would feel better if Mike Pence was the guy really handling the details, but that's not Trump's way. It's Trump's to handle. We might get something akin to that scenario. Trump's chances so far reflected Pence's policies. Pence will be a president one day, probably in 8 years. Potentially proving helpful on Capitol Hill, where the Indiana governor and former House Republican leader has long expected to help Trump most. Pence's devotion to conservative principles and his relationship with powerful groups, including the Heritage Foundation, very important. Heritage Foundation wants to pull the plug on the swamp, so it is drained. That's where they're coming from. They have allowed him to help Trump navigate a Washington terrain that is unfamiliar to the billionaire business mogul who just ran his first campaign for any office. It was a successful campaign, so obviously there's something there. They do need people who understand the system. Pence understands the system, but Pence was not and cannot be classified in that elite Republican establishment group. I think that's why he got out of Congress, ran for governor of Indiana, and was a successful governor. A top Pence aide said Tuesday that Trump and Pence consult on all cabinet picks. Pence even got a close friend, Representative Jeb Hensarling, a Republican from Texas, into the mix for Treasury Secretary. though that nod ultimately went to Stephen Mnuchin, and that they communicated throughout the transition. So Trump is making the final decision, and that's clear that he's doing that. As for the relationship, the aide said they could look like something of an odd couple, but that's balancing works. Pence, the aide said, was the only person who would have had the discipline to make it through the gauntlet, like the campaign, and not lose faith and not lose faith. It was a gauntlet, and there are people who started right off on Trump's side, and they haven't been rewarded yet. They stayed true to him, and I'm talking about representatives and some senators, but we'll see what happens there. Do you recall, here's interesting, do you recall Obama's stray voltage theory? Well, the gist of that was the president purposefully overstates his case, knowing that it will create controversy. That sparks attention, and attention provokes conversation, and conversation embeds previously unknown or marginalized ideas in the public consciousness. Sounds like a good plan. Part of it was a cynical calculation to let an argument about a presidential statement ensure a topic stayed front and center in the public's mind. That's good PR, that's propaganda work. There's also the side effect of ensuring that a brouhaha about a presidential statement overshadowed actual policy decisions that may be more consequential but are less dramatic and interesting to the news media. And before we go any further with this line of thought, I'll turn it over to our sponsors and give them a shot.
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did you?
It's not important, Jan. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. And later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian. Or listen to jazz. Or try my hand at needlework. Or open a door for a beautiful woman. Or read a human interest story, or make dessert wine. Or ride a wild horse. Or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last. Especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpieces the Hut.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia, Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Better days ahead.
When Days Chevrolet in Jasper gives thanks, we give big. With over 20% off MSRP on remaining 2016 models and savings up to $10,000. New Silverado Crew Cabs from just $31,900. Or get 20% off MSRP plus days discounts on 2016 Malibus. Now just $18,900. Save up to $10,000 off MSRP today at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow. And then I can finally get back home. Round. Round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to Georgia's Hour on FetcherNewsTV.com, North Georgia's only live internet TV talk show. You can contact me at 706-889-9700. We're talking about the stray voltage theory that Obama put out, and it's a method of regurgitating propaganda, putting it in the public's mind, and removing something else over here. It's the old two-card money type of shift. Imagine, if you will, to use as a metaphor, President-elect Trump declaring he wants to strip away citizenship of people who burn the flag. That's not going to happen. Trump knows that's not going to happen. But why did he say it? In the incoming Trump administration, if the incoming Trump administration really is using a variation of the stray voltage approach, and Democrats really have an uncontrollable impulse to focus on the controversy statement or the statement of the day, the Trump administration could end up being stunningly effective in policy making. A lot of seemingly dry and boring regulations can be repealed, executive orders withdrawn, rewritten, and reissued. Legislation passed by the GOP majorities in Congress and signed, all while the political world froths at the mouth about the president's latest tweet. Trump is a genius. He understands that theory, and he's using it to the best good effect. So there we are. Time to move on to something more interesting to you. We have what I wanted. Oh, Nancy Pelosi. The Democrats are in total disarray. I read to you in my essay yesterday that they are in fact a coastal party, not a national party. A coastal party. What's it mean? It means that the West Coast, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, those are all liberal bastions of political thinking. Those are almost communist front countries. On the East Coast, Miami, New York, Boston. So what about the great in-between? They're not there. And you look at the red map, the electoral map, and you'll see that that is true. Now, there's a Tim Ryan, a Democrat representative from Youngstown, Ohio, is challenging Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi from San Francisco. Oh, she was also born in Baltimore, Maryland, so keep that in mind. But she's a representative from San Francisco. He's challenged her to be minority leader. And he gives very, very good reasons why. All of them, excellent reasons to a conservative, but reasons that will kill him when it comes to appointing him as the minority leader. It ain't gonna happen. And we should encourage that it doesn't happen. He's more valuable to us as a backbencher. She's more valuable to us as the leader of the Democrat Party. She's an idiot. She talks like one. She sounds like one. The babbling that comes out of her mouth, you'd think we're the simpletons out here. Do you remember? We have to pass it to see what's in it. Well, that should have killed it right then, that Obamacare, and that 8 long years ago, but it didn't. It didn't. So now we're saddled with moronic laws passed by idiots. But anyway, we need to keep Nancy Pelosi as the leader of the minority party in Congress. So much for that. Representative Bob Corker of Tennessee, a Republican, lauded Donald Trump's foreign policy ideas after meeting with the president-elect at Trump Tower last Tuesday. It's been an honor to have the kind of meeting that I had yesterday, said Corker. So Corker could have a place in the administration. We'll see. He wouldn't have been at Trump Tower if he hadn't. Republicans push back. The debate over seeking recounts in states won by Clinton. Won by Clinton. The countdown is on to see whether efforts by the left to call for recounts in this year's presidential election actually make a difference in the final tallies. Attention continues to swirl around the Green Party candidate Jill Stein's push for money. She did it for money. The recount is a sham. She had no money going in, and now suddenly she's got $7 or $8 million in the bank that saps out here in the great wilderness have mailed her to help her pay for a recount. It could be a recount. Why would you send money to her? Now she's got $7 million. She had $58,000 cash in her bank account last week. Now she's got $7 million. So what the heck? We'll see where that's going. Some experts, through questions whether the same attention should be given to states Clinton won by similar margin. For comparison, the latest election tally shows Clinton winning Nevada by 26,434 votes, only slightly larger than Trump's 24,000 vote lead in Wisconsin. The margins are fairly close, not as close as we've seen historically in some past elections, though close enough that they can potentially trigger a recount. So what if the Republicans now challenge in, and we can afford it, now challenge in Nevada. So there's the goose, the other side of the horn, of the coin. So there we go. We have so many things. It was fun to try to keep up with these things. Let me go to my latest, my thoughts, George's thoughts. This is an essay. I have not published it yet. I just put it out. It is, I just finished it this morning, actually. And I like this little machine. It's a nice little tablet, but it works slow. Here we go. All right. We're getting closer, and here we are. This is one of my short takes. It's called Fantasy Football or Fantasy Politics. A nice metaphor came to me. Fantasy football or fantasy politics? An interesting question was asked recently in a New York Times article. Is fantasy football a tawdry example of wicked gambling, or is it simply an exercise in fledgling capitalism? Now, I'm not a fantasy football player. I don't have the time or the interest or the resources to spend trying to make money off of fantasy football or figure it out. The question came up because a practitioner of fantasy football bragged he had made over $100,000 playing the game, and he had worked hard for it. He likened it to the stock market, where buying and selling for profit is not considered a gamble, but a calculated risk based on good intelligence and, might say, analysis work. He said gambling was where one simply relies on the chance roll of the dice or the turn of a card with no effort made by the player to gather data or analyze its implication. These players, in the end, will invariably lose it all to the house. Card counters who gamble will quickly find themselves thrown abruptly out on the street. Fantasy footballers, on the other hand, who are good, will collect their winnings. Politically, for Democrats, the nonsense going on about recounts, who won the popular vote, and threats to electors, etc., exposes their position as fantasies. The whole Democrat Party has been a socialist fantasy that maintained their primacy over ignorant voters and establishment Republicans, I might add, by pretending that they had held the value of the American people closer to their bosom than those wicked, untrustworthy conservative Republicans. November the 8th put an end to that fantasy. It also revealed the untrustworthiness of certain conservative Republicans. That's a pity. Dr. Jill Stein, in her recount obsession, really drove a stake into Hillary's rotten heart while garnering more millions of dollars than she ever made in her campaign originally. But like a good fantasy footballer, Jill Stein hedged her bets and came out a winner, financially anyways, while delivering to Hillary her death blow. Hillary lived in the fantasy world, driven by hope, not by skillful calculation. She lived by the turn of a card and the roll of the dice. She bet on the house, and she lost. So once again, Americans have been treated to an important lesson in political gaming. The House rarely loses, or shouldn't, but Hillary did, because politics are no longer about ideas, but how one places their bets. If corruption as a lifestyle is to succeed, it must be protected. In its protection role, the mainstream media went all in for Hillary, lost decisively, and now even they, having lost their credibility, can't cover their bets. The Democrat Party played as though they didn't even need to place bets because the fix was in. Hillary was the one. It was her turn. How can she lose? Clearly, they didn't count on the ignorant masses of middle America who bet against the House. Imagine, if you will, standing at the craps table, loaded dice in your hand, and suddenly in walks the House bouncer, let's say Donald Trump, snatches up your loaded dice, gives you a fresh pair, and tells you to roll. The Democrats, all in, threw the dice, and they have been shown the door. The fantasy political crowd, media included, haven't recovered from their shock. Like jousting at windmills, they are now mounting attacks against the system they previously thought they had perverted, the one they fumbled away. They face decades of wilderness living, and the prospect is galling to them. As expected, the mainstream media have all entered the deranged zone, where nothing they say makes cognitive sense, and where screaming predictions of impeachment, resignation, or assassination against Trump proves the truly great fantasy political player seems normal. They can't believe they lost. They're deranged. And they will pay for it. Remember, freedom is the goal. The Constitution is the way. Now go help Trump make America great again. And that brings me to the end of my hour. I'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock to regale you with more whatever's fresh in the air right now, nonsense about politics, who's who and what's what. Today we'll know whether Nancy Pelosi retains her position as minority leader. Very soon, we will know who will be Trump's Secretary of State, his Secretary of Homeland Security, and his Secretary of Defense. 3 top important jobs for this administration. So anyway, I wish you a good day. It's a raincoat day today, or your umbrella, or just go bareheaded. See you tomorrow. Bye.